Bonjour and welcome back to Historio X, where we intend to educate the masses on the Révolution de France. Although the revolution was a long time ago, starting in 1789, the revolution was a catalyst for the spread of nationalist ideas throughout Europe and eventually globally, shaping conflicts in the 19th century and beyond. So, the main idea of the revolution was that the French people had begun to grow desperate to realize the concept of la nation, where French citizens are seen as members of a nation and not just subjects to a monarch. This concept became largely popular. This from the German Empire and the Japanese Empire, even as it was across the world, yet wiped out the Austro-Hungarian Empire and the Russian Empire. The revolution had three main ideas: liberty, fraternity, equality. Although people like the monarch obviously didn't like the idea of having liberty because it implied having liberty from him, it was popular with the people because it paved the path for the acceptability of many ideas that the thinkers in the Age of Enlightenment had been working on. To understand the revolution, we should first talk about the key players and events during the French Revolution. The French Estates. Before the French Revolution, the people of France were divided into social groups called estates, which many hated. The first estate included the clergy, church leaders, the second estate included the nobles, and the third estate included the commoners. Most of the people were members of the third estate. The third estate paid most of the taxes, while the nobility lived the lives of luxury and got all the high-ranking jobs. France has just lost the 7 Years' War and was in serious debt. The third estate had to pay for this, literally. Revolutionary government. The French government was in constant turmoil throughout the revolution. At the start of the revolution, representatives from the Third Estate established a National Assembly where they demanded that King Louis give them certain rights. This group soon took control of the country. They changed names over time to the Legislative Assembly and later to the National Convention. After the Reign of Terror, a new government was formed called the Directory. The Directory ruled until Napoleon took control. The Reign of Terror. The darkest period of the French Revolution is called the Reign of Terror, which lasted from 1793 to 1794. During this time, a man named Robespierre led the National Convention and the Committee of Public Safety. He wanted to stamp out any opposition to the revolution, so he called for a rule of terror. Laws were passed that said anyone suspected of treason could be arrested and executed by the guillotine. Thousands of people were executed, including Queen Marie Antoinette and many of Robespierre's political rivals. Political clubs. Many of the new political ideas and alliances of the French Revolution were formed in political clubs. These clubs include the powerful Jacobin Club, led by Robespierre himself, the Cordeliers, the Feuillants Club, and the Panthéon Club. The French Revolution had a significant impact on the political and social development of Europe and the world. First of all, during the Revolution, the political and social power of the Catholic Church diminished. The French revolutionaries began searching for ways to create a form of government where religion had little political influence. This resulted in the creation of the Parlement, high courts that could pass and influence laws of the state while representing the interests of the French people. This concept of government would soon be adopted by American revolutionaries after they seceded from the British Empire. The Parlement is a key cornerstone in the creation of modern-day democracy. A sense of nationalism also gained popularity among the French people during and after the Revolution. The motto of liberty, equality, and fraternity symbolized the beliefs of French revolutionaries of a unified community of French countrymen enjoying equal rights under a constitution. This motto is reflected in the present-day revised French tricolor flag that was adopted by the revolutionaries in 1794, in which the vertical blue, white, and red stripes of the flag stood for the three values of the revolution and was essential in unifying the nation after the revolution. The consequences of this newfound sense of nationalism resulted in the separation of the French government from the Catholic Church and the concept of monarchy. This event would mark an essential moment in European history, where countries begin to reject primitive feudalistic forms of government in favor of more democratic governments that represented the voices of the people.